My son said, "You needed a lesson, Mom," after my daughter-in-law cut my hair. What came next? The moment my son whispered those words, the air in the kitchen seemed to thicken, as if the very walls were leaning in to hear the tremor of a truth that had been hidden behind polite smiles and carefully arranged hair. "Mom, you needed a lesson," he said, his voice steady but edged with a fierce protectiveness that caught me off guard. I stood there, a mother whose life had been measured in school recitals, birthday cakes, and the quiet hum of a home that had always seemed to run on love and laundry. My daughter-in-law, with a flick of scissors, had taken something I had worn for decades, a symbol of my identity, my resilience, my story, and turned it into a jagged reminder that nothing stays the same forever. In that instant, the world didn't stop. It accelerated. The clink of the scissors echoed like a gunshot in a silent movie, each metallic note reverberating through the corridors of my mind. I felt the weight of generations pressing down on me, the expectations of a woman who had been taught to keep her hair neat, her emotions in check, and her voice soft. Yet beneath that veneer of propriety, there was a fire that had been smoldering for years, waiting for a catalyst. My son's words were that spark, igniting a transformation that would not be contained by any salon chair or polite apology. You might think this is a story about hair, about a petty family dispute, but it is really about the moment we are forced to confront the narratives we have written for ourselves. It is about the raw, unfiltered realization that the only thing we truly own is the story we tell ourselves each morning when we look in the mirror. And when that mirror is cracked, when the reflection staring back is unfamiliar, the choice becomes stark: crumble under the weight of expectation, or rise, reborn, with a newfound purpose. I remember sitting on the cold kitchen floor, the shards of my cut hair scattered like confetti, feeling the sting of embarrassment and the strange, unfamiliar thrill of liberation. It was as if the scissors had not only cut strands of keratin, but also sliced through the invisible cords that tethered me to a version of myself that no longer served my spirit. In that moment, I heard the distant echo of Thomas Edison's words, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The lesson was not about the hair itself, but about the relentless pursuit of self-definition in a world that constantly tries to assign us roles. We all have our own haircuts, those moments when the external world reaches in and reshapes us without our consent. It could be a job loss, a broken relationship, a pandemic that upends daily life, or a family member who, in a fit of misguided care, decides to take matters into their own hands. The difference lies in how we respond. Do we allow the cut to define us, or do we use it as a catalyst to grow a new identity, one that is forged in the fire of adversity? As I sat there, the silence was broken by the soft hum of the refrigerator, a reminder that life continues, indifferent to our personal dramas. My son's eyes were fixed on me, waiting for a reaction, perhaps expecting tears or anger. Instead, I felt a strange calm wash over me, a resolve that was as unexpected as it was fierce. I stood up, brushed the hair from my shoulders, and walked to the bathroom. I looked at my reflection, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Who was this woman staring back? What stories had she been telling herself? And which ones were ready to be rewritten?
The answer came not as a thundercloud, but as a whisper that grew louder with each breath. I am more than the sum of my hair, my roles, my fears. It was a declaration that echoed the words of Lincoln, who said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." In that moment, I realized that the lesson my son was trying to give me was not about the act of cutting hair, but about the necessity of cutting away the parts of ourselves that no longer serve our highest purpose. We live in a world that constantly demands conformity, that rewards us for fitting into neat, predictable boxes. From the moment we are born, society hands us a script. Be a good student, get a stable job, marry, raise children, and then fade into the background. Yet the most extraordinary lives are those that dare to rewrite the script, to add unexpected chapters, to turn a simple haircut into a manifesto of self-empowerment. Think of the stories that have shaped our culture. The tale of a young apprentice who dreamed of flight, only to be told that the sky was reserved for birds. The narrative of a woman who was told her voice was too loud, only to use that volume to change the world. These are not mere anecdotes, they are the raw material of transformation. They remind us that the path to greatness is rarely a straight line, but a series of twists, turns, and sometimes abrupt cuts. As I stood before the mirror, I felt the presence of those who had walked this path before me. I heard the steady cadence of Ford's assembly line, each bolt tightened with purpose, each decision driven by an unyielding belief that the future could be built, piece by piece. I sensed the quiet determination of Carnegie, who rose from poverty to become a titan of industry, not because he was the smartest, but because he refused to let his circumstances dictate his destiny. And I felt the whimsical imagination of Disney, who turned sketches on a napkin into a kingdom where dreams are not just possible, but inevitable. These figures were not immune to setbacks. Edison's laboratory burned to the ground, yet he persisted, his resolve hardened like steel. Lincoln's nation tore itself apart, yet he held fast to the vision of a united country. Their stories are not about the absence of difficulty, but about the presence of a purpose so profound that it eclipses fear. So, what is your purpose? What fire burns within you, waiting to be unleashed? It may be hidden beneath layers of doubt, smothered by the expectations of others, or dulled by the routine of daily life. But just as a diamond is formed under pressure, your purpose is forged in the crucible of challenge. The haircut that left me feeling exposed became the pressure that revealed the strength of my resolve. In the days that followed, I made a conscious decision to treat that moment not as an ending, but as a beginning. I began each morning with a ritual. I would stand before the mirror, look into my own eyes, and ask, what will I create today? Not what will I achieve, but what will I create? This shift from achievement to creation is subtle but powerful. Achievement is about reaching a destination. Creation is about embodying the journey, about becoming the kind of person who can shape their reality. I started writing, first in a notebook, then in the digital ether, capturing thoughts, ideas, and aspirations that had long been silenced by the noise of obligation. I sought out mentors, not in the traditional sense of someone who would hand me answers, but in the sense of fellow travelers who could share their maps and compasses. I studied the habits of those who had turned adversity into advantage, dissecting their routines, their mindsets, their daily rituals. One of the most profound lessons came from a simple practice, the morning win. I learned that the first hour after waking sets the tone for the entire day. Instead of reaching for my phone, I reached for a book, a journal, a breath of intention. I visualized my day as a series of small victories, each one building momentum like a rolling snowball. This is not about grandiose gestures. It's about the compound effect of consistent, deliberate actions. As I embraced this new rhythm, I noticed a shift in my relationships. My daughter-in-law, initially taken aback by my newfound confidence, began to see me not as a figure to be managed, but as a source of wisdom and inspiration. My son, who had once whispered a lesson, now looked to me for guidance on his own challenges. The house that once echoed with the hum of routine now resonated with purpose-driven conversation. But transformation is not a linear ascent. There were days when the mirror reflected a version of myself I did not recognize, when the weight of old habits pressed down like a physical force. There were moments of doubt, when the echo of society's expectations threatened to drown out my inner voice. But each time I felt that pull, I remembered the scissors, how they had cut not just hair, but the illusion of permanence. I reminded myself that resilience is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. In the spirit of those who have walked before us, let us consider the concept of clarity. Clarity is not a static state. It is a dynamic process of aligning our actions with our values, our dreams with our deeds. It requires us to ask the hard questions. What am I truly passionate about? What legacy do I wish to leave? What does success look like on my own terms? These questions are not meant to be answered once and forgotten. They are to be revisited, refined, and reimagined as we evolve. When we have clarity, vision follows. Vision is the vivid mental picture of the future we are committed to creating. It is the beacon that guides us through the fog of uncertainty. Think of the Wright brothers, who visioned a world where humans could soar through the skies like birds. Their vision was not grounded in the technology of their time. It was rooted in an unshakable belief that the impossible could become possible. Their journey was fraught with failures, with each crash serving as a lesson rather than a defeat. Similarly, we must cultivate a vision that transcends our current circumstances. It is not enough to wish for a better life. We must see it, feel it, and embody it in the present moment. This is where the law of attraction meets disciplined action. The universe responds to the energy we emit, but that energy must be paired with purposeful effort. As we align our thoughts with our desires and back them with consistent action, we begin to attract the opportunities, relationships, and resources that align with our vision. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. It is the daily commitment to do the work even when motivation wanes. Discipline is not about perfection, it is about persistence. It is the habit of showing up day after day, even when the results are not immediately visible. As Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Discipline turns belief into habit, and habit into achievement. Action, however, must be strategic. It is not enough to work hard. We must work smart. This means setting clear goals, breaking them down into manageable tasks, and measuring progress. It means learning from each failure and adjusting our approach. It means seeking feedback, embracing criticism, and continuously improving. In the words of Carnegie, a man who never makes a mistake is a man who never tries anything new. Mistakes are not setbacks, they are stepping stones on the path to messity. Now, as I stand before you, the echo of that haircut still reverberates in my soul, but it no longer carries the sting of humiliation. Instead, it carries the resonance of a lesson learned, a transformation realized, a fire ignited. It reminds me that the most profound changes often begin with a single, unexpected cut, a moment of disruption that forces us to confront the narratives we have accepted as truth. You, watching this, have your own haircuts. Perhaps it is a relationship that ended, a job that disappeared, a dream that seemed out of reach. Perhaps it is a belief that you are not enough, a fear that you are unworthy, a habit that keeps you stuck. Whatever it is, know this. You have the power to turn that cut into a catalyst, to transform the wound into wisdom, the loss into leverage. Take a moment now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of your own story, the strands that have been cut, the ones that remain. Visualize yourself standing in a field of light, the sun warming your face, the wind whispering possibilities. See yourself picking up the scissors of intention, cutting away the old, making space for the new. Feel the exhilaration of that first cut, the release, the freedom. When you open your eyes, carry that sensation with you. Let it guide your actions, your decisions, your interactions. Let it remind you that you are the author of your life, the sculptor of your destiny. The world will try to define you, to fit you into its mold, but you have the power to reshape yourself, to rewrite your story, to turn every cut into a crescendo of triumph. Remember, the greatest lessons are often disguised as the most painful moments. It is not the cut that defines us, but what we do with the wound. It is not the hair that falls, but the fire that rises from the ash. So my son, my daughter-in-law, my family, my friends, and you, the brave soul seeking more, take that lesson, own it, and let it propel you forward.